Yeah, wow. The whole landscape around Big Bear Mountain now is already looking a whole lot different. It has not even been a month since last time I was here at this point, and to say that progress on this building has been going fast would be an understatement. Like, the whole footprint is there. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to my final Dollywood construction update before I move. I know I said the last one was going to be my final one, but I had to get out here one more time. Although this is legit the last one, so I am having to move for work, unfortunately, like all the way to Wisconsin for work actually. So I will not be anywhere nearby this park anymore. Hopefully I'll still be able to come once a year-ish, maybe twice a year, if we're lucky. But obviously I'm not gonna be able to come here and do construction updates all the time, obviously by the statistical impossibility of that. Currently in the process of moving out right now, so this is definitely the last update, but I knew I had to come out here for just a couple hours while I'm here and get one more construction update, since as you can see, the frame of the building has been put up. I'm not doing like a proper vlog today because I'm only here for a couple hours, and as you can't tell now, maybe you can hear a few little thunder blasts. It's been storming most of the time I've been here anyway, so it didn't have much time. It's been storming, and the rare time it wasn't storming, I did manage to get on the train. However, all of the ride lines have been like 45 minutes at the low end, going all the way up to 90, almost 2 hours. It is absolutely slammed for the fact that it is a Wednesday and a stormy Wednesday, but everybody's here anyway, so yeah, I'm almost out of battery on my phone, so I can't, for various reasons, not doing a whole vlog today, but I'll do a little bit of more vlog-esque stuff at the end of this video, just kind of reminiscing, since I'll be walking out of this park for the last time as my home park. Hopefully I'll get to ride something today, but it's not looking good for much with the storms and the wait times. But regardless, let's look at this thing. They're letting people into Big Bear Mountain's queue now, even though I just heard some thunder a minute or two ago. So that's interesting. But anyways, yeah, I did get footage from the train, which I'll voice over in a second, like I always do. It's a much better look at things, but it's no longer the case that it's hard to see from this path anymore. You can, there it is. That's where the ride's going. Before I get too far into it, we do have some additional information that I was able to get because I rode the train. The train drivers right now are actually giving a little like teaser spiel for the ride. So they reiterate a 2026 opening date. We don't know what point in 2026. I'm going to imagine it'll be like May, sometime around like one more Mother's Day weekend. Mother's Day weekends where Dollywood has tended to open this kind of stuff over the last couple of years, so I assume that's what they'll be doing again. But time will tell. Anyways, the stuff we didn't know before, on the train they said that is a new aircraft hangar for the Hidden Hollow Aviation Company. And more interestingly, when we were on the way back down the mountain, he said that starting next spring, the Hidden Hollow Aviation Company will be taking guests on aerial tours of Wildwood Grove and Timber Canyon, giving you never-before-seen looks at Dollywood's roller coasters. That's pretty much word for word what they said, which is very interesting. Definitely seems like a bit of a different theme than I was expecting, but we'll talk about that more in a second. The other thing of note from the train, I'm just going to say this because it'll be hard to see even when I show and voice over the footage. Some people had commented on my previous updates saying that they could see some of the crates had the Mack Rides logo on them. I was not able to see that even going back through my own footage. I'm just really bad at like making out small details like that in video form, but however, I can confirm in person today, looking from the train, looking at those boxes with my own eyes rather than through a camera and a screen, I can confirm that at least one of those crates does bear the Mack Rides logo pretty prominently. Again, it's gonna be really hard to see in like a video just because of the way that it is, but I promise, I saw it with my own two eyes, and in person, in real life, it clearly is Mack Rides. So we thought that was probably going to be the manufacturer for this ride, and it's confirmed at this point, I guess. Obviously, as you can tell, going to be an indoor attraction, pretty big one too. Some kind of dark ride type deal. We were told the park has said coaster to describe this ride, and Dollywood does not typically use the word coaster for things that are not coasters as some other parks do. So I'm tempted to take them at their word for it. This will be some kind of coaster concept, but I wouldn't think thrill. I think something more like a dark ride, a powered coaster of some sort. An inverted power coaster is my prediction, as well as many other people's predictions. However, I have heard some rumblings that this may be some kind of first of its kind prototype from Mack Rides, which wouldn't surprise me either because Dollywood loves first of its kind attractions. Regardless, that teaser from the train is very interesting because I figured that this would be kind of a dark ride. We knew it would have some kind of flight element to it. I personally figured it would be something like we've seen concepts that Dollywood has sent out to kind of focus group test, if you will, potential themes for a dark ride. They started doing that even all the way back like 2019, I think. They've been doing it for a while, but a lot of their proposed themes have involved going into like a hidden cave underneath the wildwood tree and discovering some hidden gemstones or something magical of that nature. So I figured it would be something like that. And in any way that it went, I figured it would be completely Wildwood Grove, like grounded in the like fantasy world of Wildwood Grove. So I didn't expect to see any Dollywood rides in that ride at any point. I expected it to be kind of in its own Wildwood Grove kind of universe. But since they said flights going over both Wildwood Grove and Timber Canyon, giving you never before seen views of Dollywood's coasters, that seems to tell me at least the start of this ride will feature, I assume that they'll do it through screens, but it'll be somehow flying over the park itself. So I guess they'll probably be getting some like drone footage of the park, or at least some really good animations of the park done that'll kind of play as screens, and you'll be flying over on the ride, which definitely makes sense if it's going to be an inverted powered coaster like that. But hopefully that's just like the first half of the ride, and hopefully there is some kind of fantasy exploration kind of element to it, because I think it'd be a little underwhelming if it's just like, look, here's the park you just walked through, but from the air on a screen, and that was it. That would be a little underwhelming. So hopefully there's more to it than that thematically. But yeah, that's just kind of our first teaser on the theme and general storyline for the ride, though we still don't know very much. But apparently it involves both Wildwood Grove and Timber Canyon and roller coasters. You'll see roller coasters on this ride, apparently. Regardless, let's talk about the other goodies that you can kind of see. As I've said in every video, this is where the path to the attraction will go. It's just a dead end on the other side of Big Bear Mountain's entrance right now, but eventually it will continue around the corner behind Big Bear Mountain's turnaround, open up into some sort of plaza, and there is your, there's the ride. I was a little bit concerned about the theming because a lot of the buildings in Dollywood, especially like you can see Hidden Hollow over there, it's just like a metal-sided generic building. Hopefully if they go for an aircraft hangar theme, that should allow them to get away from having to do like a Disney Universal style cover up the building type deal, which would be really expensive, but then they can still keep it in theme by having it be an aircraft hangar. So I think they can make it work that way. I did want to highlight both standing here and from the train. I was surprised that this building is massive. In a lot of pictures, it looks pretty small, and I saw a lot of comments online that were a little bit disappointed with the building looking too small when some people had posted pictures on social media and stuff. But actually standing here in person, I can assure you it looks about 3 times as big in person as it does in any pictures online. That is a big building. That is by far the biggest building in the park. For original theme park, that is a massive building. You can see 2 main sections there. So we have a larger, much taller roof section in the back. I assume that is where the station and the actual ride will be. Interestingly, in the front here, you can see a shorter roof, kind of a smaller kind of annex off to the side. So I'm assuming that will be for some sort of indoor queue space, which would be great if they did have some indoor queue space, because it gets pretty hot here during the summer and pretty cold here during the winter because the park is open through Christmas as well. So having some kind of indoor queue space, even if it's not going to hold the whole line, just having at least a portion of the queue indoors climate controlled will be really nice. So that's what I'm hoping, that this little annex off to the side here is queue space. It's also possible that it is the maintenance building for the ride vehicles. That's very possible. Also possible it's the station. Could be a lot of things. I'm hoping it's indoor queue space. One of the popular theories for what this attraction could be is a flying theater, something that I have disagreed with since the beginning. The whole time I've said most likely not a flying theater. I will say all these teasers sound very, very flying theater-esque. Hidden Hollow Aviation Company flying over Wildwood Grove and Timber Canyon sounds perfect for a flying theater. However, I still don't think it's going to be a flying theater, just because now that we have the building frame, looking at that building, the footprint is just not right for a flying theater. It makes a lot more sense for some kind of dark ride type attraction, something tracked, something where you're traveling from point A to point B, possibly on multiple levels. Yeah, just the way that the footprint of the building is set up, unless it just has a like ridiculously massive indoor queue or something, or some kind of walk-through element before or after, that just, the building, the footprint just doesn't make sense for a flying theater, so I don't think that's what it is. I don't want to say while I'm sitting here, I don't think a recording of it exists online anywhere, but I absolutely love the original soundtrack that plays in Big Bear Mountains area. It is pretty dang perfect. And again, I can't find any recording of it online. See how close I can get to this fence without getting yelled at.
We recommend guests to attract attention
Earlier today when I was on the train, there were probably like 8 or 9 workers on the roof, working on the roof. So I'm guessing they're, working on finishing up the roof. There were also a couple in safety harnesses that were going up and down those support columns, fastening additional bracing on there and such. Anyways, they're not working on it anymore. Well, A, because it's later in the day. They probably went home. B, because of the lightning, I'm sure. But they were working on that earlier. So I guess they still have a bit of work to do finishing up that outer frame and the roof there. I do think it'll be quite interesting to see what happens first. Do we continue to see work done on the inside, or do they start installing the walls on the outside? Because the earlier they install the walls on the outside, the less we're going to have any idea what's going on with the attraction itself. So of course my personal selfish preference would be for them to start working on the inside ASAP, so we can see what's going on in there. But anyways, we do see an additional construction building back there, construction office building behind Big Bear Mountain. Kind of a weird place for it, but whatever. Anyhow, I will go ahead and voice over some of the clips I got from the train where it gets a lot closer to the ride building itself, and you can see some of the foundation work done in there, which hasn't really changed. But I can talk a little bit more about what the ride layout might look like. All right, I'm going to try to go kind of quick with this voiceover since I've already talked about this quite a bit in the park itself, and this video is already running kind of long, and I'm very busy right now, and I'm tired. I just kind of want to go to bed. Regardless, I'm coming around the views from the other direction from where I normally do it on the train, but I'm sitting on the other side of the train, so it's easier to get footage this way. And so you can see the back part of the building. You can see the cherry picker crane things all the way up there. Again, I'm not in construction, so I don't know the official names of those things, but you can see them working hard on the roof there, and you can see it's starting to rain. But anyways, not much really looks all that different when you look into the building. We have some areas dug out for foundations. We have some what we think are going to be foundations for ride supports placed. Before, we didn't know what was going to be for ride supports and what was going to be for the building frame, but now we can kind of tell because the building frame's already up, so we can assume most of what's left in the interior there is actually for the ride footers themselves. But you can see as we come around the very far side here, you can see that smaller annex that I think is probably going to be for indoor queue space, hopefully, if it's not maintenance area, which it's very possible it's maintenance area. So as we pass these kinds of crates here and that kind of thing, that's where you'll see, if you look at this very last crate, actually I'm not sure that it even came across in the video, but one of the smaller crates on the very far side is where the Mack Rides logo is, but I don't think you can even see it in the video, but trust me, I saw it. So yeah, that building frame seems to be most of the steel that was stacked over to the side in previous construction updates that we saw previously. Actually, a lot of the stuff that was stacked over to the side has already been used seemingly to set up this massive building frame. So there's not really as much stuff sitting over to the side anymore, mostly just what appears to be some leftover scrap junk, plus some newer stuff, some Mack Ride stuff and other stuff that's over there that'll be used for something. So yeah, it's actually kind of hard to tell from these camera angles, sorry, but the deeper trench that we saw before that we think is going to be possibly for the ride station, since it's a bit deeper and has larger foundations in it or something, that is located on the wall kind of closest to the train track here, a little bit central, but almost closer to the side of what we think is probably the indoor queue space. So assuming that is the station, that does kind of line up for that being queue space. You can see some electrical conduit stuff being run through a trench out to the side there. I'm sure it'll be filled in later. They're just doing utility running right now at the moment. They're continuing to work on that frame itself, so it's not done, but it is up there. I assume that not quite all the footers for the ride are in yet, or nowhere near all the footers for the ride are in yet. You can see some footers that kind of come out from what we think is that station area there, kind of follow along the outside of the wall, I guess kind of at the start of the ride right against the outside wall there. But they don't go very far, and then they just kind of stop, and most of the rest of the building in there is still just dirt. So I assume there's still a lot of foundation work that needs to be done. We have no idea what this ride layout's going to be like, but if it is some kind of powered coaster, track dark ride type deal, I'm kind of hoping that maybe this is a 2-story building. That may just be being wishful thinking on my part, but even though it is a massive building, to just be able to squeeze some more ride time out, it's definitely tall enough that you could do 2 stories for at least a portion of the building and have the ride vehicle travel between the 2 floors to, double your floor space there, get more ride time out. And then in that case, I would hope that there is one area that's like a 2-story, like big practical set piece. So like maybe that's the dramatic conclusion to the ride. So you go through the 2 floors of just regular dark ride stuff, and then you have, especially if it's a suspended powered coaster, you have some climactic conclusion where you swing out into this larger scene that is the whole 2-story building there. That's just kind of me just randomly talking about what I think would be interesting. Just looking at what we have now, we really just don't know. But it does seem to be, based on how foundations are placed in there and stuff, this will be some kind of tracked ride, like a powered coaster or dark ride type deal, not a flying theater. So yeah, anyways, be sure to put your theories, predictions, and wishes for this 2026 attraction down in the comments below. As you can see, I just want to reiterate again the just absolute scale of this building. It does not come across well in pictures. All the pictures I've seen online don't really look that big, but when you actually see this thing in person, you almost got to see it in person. It is a very large building for a regional theme park. There is a lot that they can do with that space. So I'm really interested to see, again, how they do end up utilizing all that space. They got a lot of cool options. So we will see when the ride's officially announced, I guess. Yeah, after being at Universal last week, I'm really itching to see some more really awesome dark rides. Hopefully come to some more regional theme parks. That'd be great to see. Looks like Dollywood hopefully should be leading the charge here. Hopefully we get something really interesting. At Blazing Fury here, we are seeing the biggest change we've seen the whole time. The ride's been under extended closure since, I think, October of last year. We know it's getting some kind of major refurbishment, but we've seen really no visual change on the outside of the building over the past 8 months. They've presumably been working on the inside, and now we've seen some pretty big changes on the outside here. So you can see since I've last been here, before they just had the doors to the building closed, but now you can see they've built a new construction fence pretty far out from the building, and they have this little, well, it's not little, it's pretty big, but it's a cherry picker type thing. I'm not in construction, so I don't know the official names of these things, but you can see it right there. I assume they're using that to work on some cosmetic updates on the outside of the building, which you can see right here. We, of course, have a brand new Blazing Fury sign. I still don't know exactly how I feel about it. The old one was a nice, old, classic, hand-painted thing. This is more stylized, maybe objectively better for a modern attraction, but for a classic attraction like Blazing Fury, I kind of liked the look of the old sign. The old sign also had a little bit more character to it, so I'm hoping they're not quite done with this yet, and they'll add maybe a flame effect behind it or something like that. I also could be wrong, but I believe that bell tower on the top has seen some significant work done to it as well already. It does look visually different than it did before to me, unless I'm crazy. Despite this new construction fence getting pushed out, the sign here is the exact same sign that was nailed to the door for most of this season. So really no new information there. Still just says it will reopen later this season. And stay tuned to the website and social media for updates, of which there have been absolutely none. Okay, on this side of the fence, they don't have anything blocking your views at all. But yeah, you can see, again, I'm assuming they're just using this equipment to work on the outside of the building here, which already looks to be mostly done, but maybe we'll see some more repainting with some more thematic elements added out here in the coming weeks. Of course, I won't be here, but hopefully somebody can pick up on that. Oh, there's no rail on this side either. It just kind of ends. That's funny, but you can see it looks like we have a new entrance sign posted there as well. Oh, it looks like the door to the building is open, but you can't really see anything inside there. Anyways, for those of you who have not been keeping up, Blazing Fury was just closed without warning in, I think, October of last year, October 2024. at which point it was removed from the Dollywood app and website, which was really weird. So Dollywood had to come out and say the ride was not being removed, but was just going through some kind of refurbishment. That went through the entire end of the 2024 season, over the off season, and then when we started 2025 here, it was still not reopened, but we did finally get that sign, some acknowledgement, because before the ride was just closed, no signage or anything. We did get that sign now acknowledging that they were doing some kind of refurbishment on the ride. We didn't know how extensive, but here we are in June. So it's been, again, about 8 months since this closure started, and we're still waiting on reopening. I just talked to a park employee who told me that they are hoping to have the ride reopened by the end of July. So again, no confirmation on that. That's not officially from the park. That's just what a few people have told me, but hopefully it should be open by the end of July. So as to what's going on in there, at first I thought it would just be a little bit of a visual refresh of some things to celebrate the park's 40th anniversary this year. But from what I've heard from a few park employees and other sources, over the last few weeks from sources, I've been told that they've basically rebuilt most of the ride in place in the building over the last 8 months. So something similar to what Silver Dollar City did with their Fire in the Hole, which was a near clone of Blazing Fury. They actually ended up building a new Fire in the Hole in a different area in the park, a new Fire in the Hole from scratch. Kind of like a remake, how you see like video game remakes when they rebuild an older game in a modern rendering engine with modern physics and modern effects, but it's one-for-one copy kind of the same game. That's kind of what Silver Dollar City did. They did a remake of their Fire in the Hole. They just built another one. But that was, again, done in a different building, whereas this is being done in the same building, replaced in place, basically. So I don't think this will be near as extensive as Silver Dollar City's in terms of new effects and changes to the ride. It's all being done in the same building with a lot of the same infrastructure. But from what I'm told, the ride has been, at this point, mostly rebuilt, and it should also feature some new effects, some updated cosmetics, etc., etc. So I'm really excited to check it out, but unfortunately it will probably be next year, 2026, whenever I come back to experience the 2026 attraction. That'll probably be my first time to experience this Blazing Fury refurb, unfortunately, because, as I've mentioned, I'm moving pretty far away for work, so it will be a much bigger ordeal to come back here, and that'll probably only be happening like once a year. So maybe next year before I see what's happening with Blazing Fury, but hopefully for the rest of y'all, it'll be back open, hopefully by the end of July, and hopefully it'll be a pretty good refresh here. And hopefully we'll get some more official information from the park pretty soon. I do find it kind of strange how little they've talked about this. Again, any information that I've had has just been from talking to random employees that probably aren't allowed to say the things that they're saying. The park itself has not acknowledged anything really that's happening with Blazing Fury. I mean, they have a little bit. They've acknowledged it's getting a refurb, but no timeline. They haven't talked much about it. They've talked more about the 2026 attraction than they have about Blazing Fury, which is kind of odd to me since Blazing Fury should be reopening a lot sooner than the 2026 ride is opening. You would think they would have their most classic opening day attraction ready to go, but hopefully at least for the second half of the 40th anniversary season, Blazing Fury will be in peak form. Fingers crossed. So this went up quite a while ago, but I don't think I've ever mentioned it in a construction update video. But yeah, they put up a new Dollywood sign, or a literal Dollywood sign, up on the hillside behind where the cave used to be. This area is still a little ugly. I appreciate what they've been kind of trying to do with it, but still needs some serious help. But the Dollywood sign is just another step to helping this look a little bit less bad. There used to be an artificial cave here that was pretty cool, but apparently it was structurally compromised, so they had to remove it so it wouldn't collapse. So yeah, that's been up there for like maybe a month or two at this point. I just don't think I've ever mentioned it, so there you go. Alright, this is random but new since last time I've been here. Right at the entrance to Wildwood Grove here, there is now a ticket stand to buy tickets to the dinner shows that are on the Pigeon Forge Strip. That's interesting. I'm wondering why they didn't have that more integrated in the park beforehand from a business perspective, but that is there now, so cool, I guess. Seems like a kind of random place for it, but it is what it is. Also, the entrance and exit to Wildwood Grove really looks like one of the Epic portals, which I think is hilarious. Obviously, this was here way first, but it does look really like, it's a very similar design language. It's kind of funny. Well, those are the construction updates on the major projects going on around Dollywood right now. I'm sure there's other little things that I missed because I wasn't here for very long, wouldn't pay much attention. But regardless, I just got my last ride of Dollywood as my home park on Lightning Rod just now. Lightning Rod Dusk Ride, which felt weirdly appropriate. Also, it's running like a bat out of hell right now, so that's good to see. It hasn't been running as well the last while, so probably the best it's run in a long time at dusk. So that felt like an appropriate conclusion to this chapter of my Fuzi life, for lack of a better phrase. But kind of glad I didn't properly vlog this whole day because it was a little not the best showing for the park for my last visit here. Lightning Rod was great just now, but they were rolling trains and very nice and stuff. But for the most part, when the rides came back up, pretty poor operations, glacially slow lines that were 2 to 3 times longer than posted. Generally kind of rude and grumpy ride ops. So Lightning Rod was the exception there. They were great, but overall just not the most fantastic showing for the park, unfortunately, for my last visit. But that's just how it is sometimes. And honestly, I just really enjoyed being able to walk around the park one more time and like properly say goodbye. Obviously, I'll be back here at some point, but it won't be a place where I come all the time. Obviously, you experience parks much differently when it's somewhere that you come all the time just to kind of hang out, rather than somewhere you're traveling to just for like once a year or less. You know, my relationship with this park will be very different when I come back, obviously, is what I mean. So I think since it's my home park and I'm kind of used to it, I don't give this park enough credit for how beautiful most of it is. It's not very often you see a park like this that's built basically into the forest. The landscaping is incredible. I think the best landscaping and flowers and everything, gardening, all that's the best I've seen in a theme park. But yeah, park's not closed, but I'm leaving. I was gonna grab a little more Dollywood 40th anniversary merch on the way out there, but the line's about 10 years long, so probably better for my wallet if I don't anyway. I do love the 40th anniversary merch. They kind of like chose certain design style and just kind of ran with it, and I think it looks pretty nice. Regardless, the emotion's starting to hit me a little bit walking away from this park for the last time, actually this time. At least the last time as a local. So yeah, I do really enjoy, as much as I am a creature of habit, I do really enjoy getting out there and trying new things and experiencing new things. So I like to kind of push myself into that sometimes, which is why I'm moving halfway across the country basically for work. So I'm pretty excited to experience a new part of the country in general. But for the context of this channel, I also get to experience a lot of new parks over in the kind of Great Lakes region that I haven't been to before. And you'll get to see all that as well. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I always feel weird saying that, but this is why I left early, because the park is slammed today. If I stayed until closed, I would be waiting like an hour for trams. And now I can walk right on.